Imagine waking up today, December 2025, and turning on your screen only to see a headline so unexpected, so explosive, that it forces you to sit upright and stare, your morning routine completely forgotten, the world around you fading into a blur because the digital alert flashing before your eyes is the one you've been told for years was a distant, almost mythical milestone, a point on a far-off horizon that many argued would never actually arrive, yet here it is, blazing across your feed with a terrifying and exhilarating finality. Tier 4B just went live. RV Phase 3 starts with a critical 24-hour window. Let that sentence sink in for a moment. Let it dismantle every assumption you had about the timeline. Let it shatter the patient, plodding expectation of a slow, bureaucratic rollout. This isn't a test. This isn't a drill. This isn't another rumor swirling in the echo chambers of speculative forums. Within the intricate fictional universe of the global currency revaluation narrative, this is the equivalent of a silent alarm triggering in every major financial hub, a pulse of pure data screaming through secured lines that the game has irrevocably changed. That single line has just shaken the entire fictional global currency community to its core, transforming anxious waiting into immediate, pressurized action. And in this special report, we are taking you inside the scenario unfolding in real time, a detailed exploration of a day that exists purely in the realm of high-stakes financial fiction but is crafted with such granular detail that it mirrors the tension of a breaking news event. If this were to happen exactly as the chatter claims, the impact on holders, markets, and international systems would be massive, a tidal wave of revaluation transactions flooding through fictional corridors of power, rewriting fictional wealth paradigms overnight. But before we break anything down, stay with us because the details coming up next form a chain of events so interconnected, so precisely timed, and so fragile that missing even one piece means missing the entire picture. And in this speculative universe, the picture is huge, layered, and fraught with narrative peril. Today's coverage is designed to walk you through every angle, the theories, the timing, the systems, the alleged 24-hour countdown, and what this fictional Tier 4B activation would mean inside an imagined Phase 3 of a revaluation cycle. Grab your coffee, silence your notifications, because we're going deep for the next stretch into a scenario built around precision, readiness, and high-stakes timing. As this fictional report continues, imagine major screens in financial centers from New York to London to Hong Kong displaying a sudden, cryptic alert. Tier 4B channels have reportedly gone active inside the speculative framework of Phase 3. While none of this reflects real-world financial systems or events, within this narrative, the alert spreads with viral speed among enthusiasts, analysts, and everyday people following the storyline. In this imagined scene, phones begin buzzing not with calls, but with automated notifications from tracking apps and watchdog groups dedicated to this saga. Private groups on encrypted platforms begin posting frantically, screenshots flooding in from supposed insiders, and a wave of digital excitement, anxiety, and sheer disbelief sweeps through online communities. The question on everyone's lips, typed into 1,000 chat windows simultaneously, is simple yet profoundly complex. What does Phase 3 actually mean inside this fictional storyline? Phase 1 and Phase 2, in prior episodes of this long-running narrative, represented setup, testing, and verification. The quiet, behind-the-scenes work of calibrating a system of unprecedented fictional scale. But Phase 3, that is where the action in this fictional world truly begins. That is where the story pivots from quiet system checks and dry runs into visible, tangible movement. And according to the narrative architecture, Phase 3 is where theoretical exchange protocols could be prepared for activation, where back-end systems might be calibrated for larger participant groups, and where the fictional institutions in this scenario would be shifting from planning and preparation to direct execution. This is the narrative's launch sequence. And the biggest twist in this fictional universe, the claim of a 24-hour window, is a masterstroke of dramatic tension. A narrow, high-pressure period meant to add visceral urgency to the drama, pulling viewers and followers deeper into the unfolding story, forcing them to imagine themselves in that position, with the clock ticking down on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Inside this imaginative scenario, the phrase 24-hour window becomes the relentless centerpiece of all tension. A window like that creates psychological pressure. It creates laser focus. It forces the characters within the story, the dedicated holders, the advisors, the narrative's version of financial officers, to prepare, to organize, and to remain vigilant in a way that open-ended waiting never could. And in a fictional world where Tier 4B is portrayed as a high-tier, high-security channel, often described as the conduit for institutional or large-scale verification, the opening of such a window represents more than a mere opportunity. It represents a moment when the gears of this imagined system begin to turn in full, audible view, moving from a low hum to a definitive roar. That is why in this story, characters tracking this event are portrayed as paying excruciatingly close attention to every whisper, every signal, every faint hint of activity on obscure portals and notification boards. A short, defined window suggests decisive movement. It suggests institutional urgency. It suggests the fictional entities involved are shifting from standby mode to live, operational mode. And in any fast-paced thriller which this narrative emulates, timing is everything. Not just the timing of events, but the timing of decisions, the timing of actions, the split-second choices that define success or failure within the plot. Today's report will break down how timing shapes this entire scenario, why the 24-hour countdown is such a powerful storytelling device, and how it creates almost unbearable tension for fictional holders preparing their documents, organizing their notes, and waiting to act when the story's clock starts its final, unstoppable countdown. In this universe, Tier 4B is presented not as a public forum but as a specialized, secure access point, one tied to elite coordination, final verification, and tightly controlled processes. While entirely fictional, the concept adds significant weight and a sense of gravity to the story. It evokes the idea of a high-tier group moving quietly behind the scenes, operating with a level of precision and secrecy that builds immense suspense for the viewer. This is why fictional leaks or alerts about Tier 4B inside the story often attract such frenzied attention. They are seen as rare glimpses behind an impenetrable curtain. When a Tier 4B alert is imagined as going live, the audience is meant to feel the seismic shift. It indicates forward motion, it signals systemic readiness, and it creates the powerful sense that something long dormant has suddenly awakened, stirred by a pre-programmed command. And in this episode, that awakening connects directly to the commencement of Phase 3, turning a simple narrative update into a developing chain reaction with characters scrambling to keep pace. But remember, as dramatic and immersive as this sounds, everything you're hearing today belongs purely to the realm of structured storytelling and speculative analysis. It is fictional, hypothetical, built to entertain, engage, and explore a fascinating cultural phenomenon through a detailed, narrative lens. Still, the mechanics within the plot deliberately mirror the kind of suspense seen in investigative dramas and heist films. Systems humming to life, screens flickering with new data, specialized teams activating, and observers racing to stay one step ahead in a fast-moving, high-stakes storyline. Now, in this narrative, let's imagine our fictional analysts stepping into their studio, the air thick with simulated urgency. They're reviewing digital boards that show intricate timelines, flowcharts of the fictional process, and event sequences that map the supposed journey from alert to completion. They're examining how the alleged activation of Tier 4B aligns perfectly with the plot's established Phase 3 progression, checking narrative consistency. According to the fictional framework they're dissecting, Phase 3 marks the critical transition from preparation to operation. That's where verification teams in this universe would theoretically begin their final review of documentation, confirming identifiers, and preparing their systems for rapid, high-volume intake. The story frames this moment as the start of the operational surge, the point where the characters following this process must be at their most alert, organized, and informed. Viewers of this fictional broadcast are shown how one phase elegantly dovetails into another, creating a compelling sense of pacing. A slow, methodical build-up over years now giving way to accelerating, irreversible action. Like a well-directed thriller, this pacing is intentional. It keeps the audience locked in, waiting with bated breath for the next development, the next signal, the next cryptic message that suggests the countdown is still on schedule, that the window remains open. And in this episode, that countdown is the relentless heartbeat of the entire story, a metronome setting the pace for every action that follows. As our fictional report continues, we shift from the macro view of systems and timelines to the intimate, emotional landscape of the characters who populate this story, the holders, the believers, the individuals who have woven this narrative into the fabric of their daily lives for years. Some have followed earlier episodes of this storyline not for months, but for a decade or more. They've waded through excruciatingly slow periods, through quiet phases where news dripped like a stalled tap, through long stretches of uncertainty punctuated only by the occasional unverified rumor or symbolic date that came and went without event. Their journey within this fiction has been a marathon of patience, a test of faith in a story whose ending remained perpetually just over the horizon. And now, with the narrative alert of Tier 4B going active, their fictional world is suddenly buzzing with a kind of electric anticipation that is almost unfamiliar. The slow, steady hum of waiting has been replaced by the sharp, piercing ring of a starting pistol. The story here intentionally highlights the profound emotional weight carried by those who've been part of this long, winding journey. In the fictional universe, hope mixes with acute tension, careful preparation mixes with deep-seated caution, and eager excitement mixes with the primal fear of missing a crucial, time-sensitive detail. These emotional layers are what deepen the story from a simple financial simulation into a relatable human drama. People inherently understand waiting for a life-changing event. People understand the quiet burn of hope for a better future. People understand the meticulous preparation for something they believe could shift everything for their families and communities. And in this narrative today, December 2025 in this timeline, is presented as the first moment in a very long time where the fictional characters truly, palpably feel the pace change beneath their feet. The imagined activation of Phase 3 is their long-awaited turning point, a concrete sign that the story is progressing, that something bigger and more definitive is unfolding, even if they cannot yet see the full shape of it from their limited vantage point. This emotional pivot is crucial, for it transforms passive observers into active participants within the tale. From here, the story moves decisively into the theme of readiness. In this fictional world, readiness isn't just a suggestion. It's presented as the single most important factor determining narrative success. The narrative voice stresses, with grave seriousness, the immediate need for organizing notes, verifying the denominations of the fictional assets, checking and double-checking documentation for any discrepancies, preparing flawless identification, and ensuring every personal and financial detail is perfectly aligned with the requirements of the story's protocol. This isn't merely administrative busywork within the plot. It's framed as a ritual of preparation, a final mental and logistical fortification before stepping through a narrative portal that will close after exactly 24 hours. The message is clear. In this 24-hour window, there is no time for errors, no room for last-minute panics, no tolerance for missing files or incorrect codes. The fictional system, as described, is portrayed as impeccably efficient but also ruthlessly precise. It will process what is correct and reject what is not, with no appeals process in the compressed time frame. This creates a powerful second-layer tension on top of the simple countdown, the tension of perfection under pressure. It's one thing to know the window is open. It's another to be absolutely certain you are ready to move through it without a stumble. This part of the narrative often focuses on checklists, on calming nerves, on the importance of having a trusted advisor or a clear-headed partner within the story to review everything one last time. It speaks to the universal anxiety of submitting a vital application, of taking a final exam, of performing on a stage with no do-overs, all amplified by the fictional stakes of global wealth transformation. The script might describe characters in the story quietly reviewing their binders by lamplight, making quiet calls to their fictional network to confirm procedures, or simply taking a deep, steadying breath as they prepare their mindset for action. This focus on meticulous preparation serves a dual purpose. It makes the story feel more tangible and procedural, and it implicitly advises the real-world audience following along to bring that same level of diligence to their own real-life endeavors, financial or otherwise. Now, let's delve deeper into the fictional mechanics of this 24-hour window itself. Why is it so short? Within the logic of the story, the brevity is explained as a necessary security and stability measure. The narrative posits that a prolonged, open-ended activation period would allow for chaos, for bad actors to attempt manipulation, for systems to be overwhelmed by sheer volume, for rumors to spiral out of control and create a fictional market frenzy. A short, sharp, pre-announced window, by contrast, forces order. It ensures that only those who are truly prepared, who have been paying attention and have their narrative affairs in perfect order, can participate in this initial, critical surge. It's a narrative tool for creating a controlled, high-velocity event. Furthermore, the window is often tied to specific fictional operational cycles. The story might suggest that the back-end systems of the revaluation, once activated, require a massive, continuous burst of processing power that can only be sustained for a limited time before needing to reboot, recalibrate, or prepare for the next phase, perhaps a Tier 4C or a broader public phase. This 24-hour period, therefore, is portrayed as the system's peak operational capacity window. It's the narrative's version of a launch window for a space mission, a specific alignment of conditions that must be seized at the exact right moment. The ticking clock also serves a crucial dramatic function. It compresses what could be a long, drawn-out process into a digestible, adrenaline-fueled event. It creates a clear before and after. It allows for a defined moment of celebration or reflection when the clock hits zero. In story terms, the closing of the window is just as significant as its opening. It marks a definitive end to one chapter and the beginning of another, allowing the narrative to progress to the next stage, such as the processing of transactions, the notification of successful completions, or the transition to liquidity events. The reporting within our fictional broadcast would now zoom in on the technical chatter supposedly accompanying this window. Imagine scrolling lines of code-like status updates on a screen, Tier 4 BQ initializing, verification protocols at 100%, holder data streams, nominal. This is the technobabble heartbeat of the operation, designed to lend an air of authenticity and complexity to the fiction. Analysts in the studio would be interpreting these fictional feeds, explaining that queue initializing means the system is now accepting and sorting the digital packets of information from the first wave of fictional applicants, that verification protocols at 100% indicates all the automated check systems are live and scanning, and that holder data streams, nominal, is a good sign. It means the inflow of data is clean and matching expected parameters, not triggering any security flags. Within the story's framework, they would note that any deviation from nominal could indicate a fictional system slowdown or a required manual review, which would be a major point of anxiety for those whose files are caught in it. This play-by-play commentary transforms an abstract concept into a vivid, moment-by-moment drama. We are also asked to consider the global scope within the fiction. This isn't just happening in one time zone. The 24-hour window is a rolling event across the planet. It starts in the fictional financial centers of the East, say Wellington, Sydney, Tokyo, and follows the sun westward through Hong Kong, Singapore, the Middle East, Europe, and finally the Americas. This rolling start is described as a deliberate narrative feature to manage systemic load and to allow the fictional global coordination teams to focus their attention region by region. For the characters in the story, this means your specific start time might be pegged to a geographic trigger or a universal coordinated time like GMT. The narrative tension thus ripples around the globe like a wave, with communities in each region going through their own localized cycle of anticipation, action, and exhaustion as the window passes over them. This rolling model also creates a prolonged news cycle within the fiction. As one region finishes its active window, reports, fictional of course, begin to trickle out about smooth operations or minor hiccups, setting the tone and expectations for the next region in line. It creates a shared, global experience within the story, with participants from different continents comparing notes and timelines in real time, building a sense of a unified, worldwide event unfolding in a synchronized, yet phased, manner. The heart of this speculative narrative, and the core of today's fictional coverage, lies in the intricate dance between the individual holder and the vast, impersonal system they are attempting to interface with during this critical window. Let's paint a more detailed picture of this interaction as it might be dramatized. Our fictional holder, let's call her Sarah for the sake of the story, has spent years preparing. Her documents are digitized, organized in specific folders with clear naming conventions. She has a list of codes, reference numbers, and contact points that exist only within the lore of this narrative. She's rehearsed the steps mentally 100 times. When the alert hits her device, a calm focus descends. This is it, the moment of narrative truth. Within the story's logic, she accesses a secured portal, its interface suddenly live and active where before it was static or displayed only a standby message. She begins the process, inputting data, uploading files, following a precise sequence. The system provides minimal feedback, perhaps a spinning icon, a progress bar, or a simple submission in queue message. And then she waits. This waiting, within a compressed 24-hour window, is perhaps the most psychologically intense part of the entire fictional experience. It's no longer the long years-long wait of before. It's a sharp, acute, and potentially agonizing wait measured in minutes or hours, where every second of silence feels elongated and every system notification sound causes a jolt. This is where the narrative explores the theme of trust. Trust in the preparation, trust in the fictional system's integrity, and trust in the process itself. The story might follow several archetypal characters. The meticulously prepared individual like Sarah, the last-minute scrambler who discovers a document error, the calm advisor guiding a group through the process, and the skeptic watching from the sidelines, all reacting differently to the same high-pressure event. This character-driven approach makes the speculative scenario emotionally resonant. Meanwhile, on the macro level of the fiction, our analysts would be discussing the supposed back-end activity. They'd theorize about the fictional matching engine that is now running. This engine in the story isn't just checking if a form is filled out, it's performing complex, layered verifications. It's cross-referencing the holder's information with multiple fictional global databases, not just financial but perhaps security, regulatory, and treaty-related databases within the plot's universe. It's verifying that the asset codes match the agreed-upon fictional historical frameworks and that the denominations align with the holder's tier or group as defined by the narrative's rules. It's checking for duplicates, for flags, for any narrative inconsistency that would require a hard stop and a manual review by a fictional compliance team. The drama of a hard stop is a significant subplot. For a character in the story, seeing a status change to under manual review during a 24-hour window would be a moment of supreme tension. It doesn't mean rejection. Within the fiction, it often means a human analyst in some secure facility now has to look at the file. The narrative might suggest these analysts have override authority or the ability to request clarifying information. But with the clock ticking, the pressure is on both the holder and the fictional analyst to resolve the issue before the window closes for that particular batch or region. This introduces an element of human judgment and potential error into the otherwise automated process, raising the dramatic stakes considerably. The reporting would also cover the fictional flow rate. How many submissions per minute are the systems handling? Is the queue moving quickly or is there a bottleneck? In the story, a smooth, fast-moving queue is a sign of optimal system performance and good preparation from the holder community. A slow or stalled queue creates panic. Is the system overwhelmed? Is there a technical fault? Are thousands of people about to miss the window due to a glitch? Our fictional news desk would be monitoring social media sentiment within the story, again, all part of the fictional construct, showing charts of anxiety levels spiking or calming based on crowdsourced reports of queue movement. They might even have a fictional system health infographic with green, yellow, and red indicators for different parts of the global process. Another layer the narrative explores is the concept of the point of no return.